Alright, hello friends, so this is an interesting and totally unplanned video where I would like to tell you how just recently I went 100% against Warren Buffett's very specific advice and profited greatly. But right away a disclaimer needs to be made that my intention is not to somehow trash, criticize or bring down Warren Buffett. It would be unwise to do so because he's a world-renowned investor, one of the richest men in the world, and his bank account speaks for himself. It is much larger than mine at the moment, so I'm not gonna go there. However, I do see this issue, and not just with Warren Buffett, but in life in general, where people idolize, glorify, and then put so much weight on these highly successful individuals, and thus it leads you to inaction. Meaning, if Warren Buffett said this is an unwise idea, people just simply take it at straight value and don't even think for themselves and don't even pursue or research that direction, that opportunity. So this video is to essentially get you to think for yourself. And without further ado, let's get into my very specific interesting stories that just happened recently. Alright, so when this pandemic began, I right away knew what's gonna happen is that the stock markets will be hit, they will go down, and obviously some very attractive stocks from investment point of view will go down substantially, and it will be a great time to buy them. Thus, I immediately started talking to all my friends and associates, and essentially everybody who I knew. Those of you who know me, you probably will remember when I was asking you, hey, what do you think we should be investing in? This is a great time to invest. And I was like a hound looking for that fox, because obviously this is still a great time to invest and buy stocks because they're down so much. And one of my good friends recommended me that I should consider airline stocks because obviously the airline industry, the aviation industry, is one of the most affected industries by this global virus outbreak. The planes are not flying as much, and so their shares are down, and they're down substantially. Naturally, it's a risky investment, but at the same time, the logic of my friend was very simple. Hey, if you pick the strongest airline in your country, I'm in Canada right now, and you purchase their stock, most likely they will still be flying because somebody at the end of this whole thing must still be flying. So whether it's in your country or elsewhere, you pick just really strong airlines whose stocks are down, but the airlines are most likely to survive. Well, chances are that eventually this will pass, things will recover, and you will profit greatly. I took that idea to heart, all the credit to my friend, and I started looking. And since I'm in Canada, essentially the first company I looked, and it was the obvious one, was Air Canada, strongest airline in our country. And sure enough, when I looked at their stock, it was down essentially 3 times, and it was a great time to buy. You could just see it. And obviously then I did my own research, I kind of inquired, and furthermore, I knew that out of all the airlines in Canada, this one will most likely be bailed out by the government. Not a big fan of bailing out companies, but you got to be realistic. If this company is most likely to be bailed out, their stocks are down 3 times, where in comparison to where they were before. So it is a good buy, and sure enough, I go and buy a little bit of Air Canada stock just to get my foot into this market and kind of get used to buying and selling stocks. And I did that in the past, but recently I have went in much more into this type of investing because it's just tremendously interesting to me, and simply the stars have aligned. I have capital to invest in, and it looks to me just simply fun and interesting. So here's the story with a twist. So I purchased the Air Canada stock a little bit, and that was That's what saved me. And the very next day, it is announced that Warren Buffett is selling all of his airline stocks. And I will give you just a direct number. So when I purchased that initial little bit of Air Canada stock, I purchased $19 per share, 19 Canadian dollars per share. And the next day, Warren Buffett announced that he is selling all of his airline stocks. Now, I am not going to make a claim that I know whether he owned Air Canada or not. He may have owned some companies that have connection to Air Canada, but anyway, it does not really matter from that perspective, because all airline stocks, virtually all of the world, because that's how much Warren Buffett owned, how much stocks he owned from various companies, essentially it was a big hit for the entire airline stock market, and all stocks went down to a point where, after Warren announced, the stock went down to $14 per share. Air Canada stock went down to $14 per share, and you'd think I'd be all disappointed and essentially concerned, but no, I was like, yes, thank you, Warren, because immediately I knew what was happening. This is even a better time to buy, and this is when you double and triple down. And I didn't just double or triple down, but I essentially bought more than 10 times the initial amount that I have purchased at $14 per share of Air Canada stock. And it was beautiful, because when it all equaled out, where my first small purchase of $19 per share and my big purchase of $14 per share, altogether they actually equal to around $15 and I don't know, some amount of cents per share. Thus, what does that mean? It means that in the end, and since then, the stock has fluctuated, and essentially it went between $16 to $22 per share, so it was up and down and continues to do so. But since that purchase, since that second purchase, and especially after Warren Buffett sold all of his airline stocks, and then he didn't just sell all his airline stocks, he then said nobody, or at least he highly does not recommend investing in the airline industry right now, because due to his calculations. And after that, essentially his liquidation of his large amount of airline shares, after Warren Buffett said you should not be investing in airline stocks, after that, at $14 per share, I went in, I said, Warren, you're wrong on this, at least from my personal perspective, where I'm seeing how dirt cheap this Air Canada stock is. I don't care, I'm ignoring you, you're a smart guy, but hey, I'm buying this stock, I did purchase it, and since then I have been in the green. Sometimes it's just $1 more than my purchase price, meaning I purchased at 15 and it's kind of 16, but sometimes it went up to all the way to 22, and I'm expecting that this stock will continue to bring me more and more value. It will itself gain more value and thus bring more value to me. So this is the first story how I went against Warren Buffett's specific advice, and even after he sold his stock and told people not to buy airline stock, I bought airline stock and profited greatly. Now, the next story is even more profitable for me, because obviously a lot of people know that Warren Buffett is not a big fan of gold. And this is very well known, very well documented. He doesn't like it. He thinks it's just a big, heavy, shiny metal that you need to protect, and it's difficult to move and own. And so he does not like it for various reasons. All the power to Warren. It's his prerogative, his choice. But when again this whole pandemic began, I also knew 100% what is gonna happen with gold. And immediately I started hunting for gold. And again, when this pandemic began, the gold went a little bit up, then it dropped, and then it skyrocketed. And well, I have, I guess, this luck or foresense or intuition. And when it went a little bit up, I waited, and then it dropped a little bit down. And when it went down before that meteoric rise, I bought these beauties: 1 ounce Canadian maple leaf gold coins. And I bought them in Canadian dollar, but essentially converting it to US because it's easier for all of you to relate. I bought one of these beauties for 1,400, let's just say 1,400 US dollars per ounce, per one coin. And as you know, right now, these coins are more than 1,800 dollars, American dollars, per, again, ounce per this coin. These coins are 1,800 dollars and more. Thus, on each one of these coins, I profited roughly $400. And I already sold some coins and some I kept. And I should mention that even before this entire pandemic, I already had a great deal of gold coins, gold antiques, and so forth, all of which skyrocketed, where I profited even more. But I'm just saying, for a long time, Warren Buffett has been saying that you should not be investing in gold. I said, Warren, I disagree with you. And I knew what's going to happen specifically when this entire pandemic has began, and I knew what's going to happen with gold. It was like a no-brainer, virtually 99.9% guaranteed that gold would go up. I bought it, I made my money, I sold some, I kept some, and again, profited greatly. So, what should you take away from all of this? It should not be that I'm sort of a great, brilliant investor. No, I don't, for gold at least, it's it's 100%. Like, if you know how to buy it low, you know you will profit. It doesn't require any type of genius whatsoever. Same for the airline stocks, or in general right now, the stock market. Right now, it's so easy to buy, and just you wait a little bit and you will make money if you do it, of course, intelligently. Can you even right now screw up? Yes, but it's still pretty easy not to screw up in the stock market right now. So what you should be taking away is this, and it is something that I want to convey to everybody. You need to understand that Warren Buffett, specifically, is a very smart man. With whether it's genetic or it is he taught himself, but whichever it is, his mind is a very analytical mind. He has a very analytical brain that is fine-tuned to the stock market or to this entire business. And what he sees in the immediate specific moment that he sees, most likely you cannot duplicate. And that is why if you are simply gonna mimic or copy Warren Buffett, you will always be not even 1 or 2, or probably 10 steps behind. And that is something that people do not understand. And when you perceive that, then you realize, yes, should you learn from Warren Buffett? Absolutely. Should you read his books? Should you hear his interviews and what he says? Obviously, he is an extremely smart investor and a very successful one. The thing is, he is following his own path. He is seeing something as he sees it, and he is acting upon it. It's very unlikely that you can do that, because if you're watching this video, then most likely you are not Warren Buffett, and we are again not seeing too many Warren Buffetts out there. What does that mean? It means you should not be blindly following Warren Buffett. You should not be blindly following me. You should train your own intuition, your own analytical thinking. You should understand your investments, and you should be following your own advice, your own strategies, your own ideas, and your own vision for how you wish to invest, to all the way to how you wish to live your own life. And I simply brought these two examples, again, not to bring Warren Buffett down, but just to prove, to show that you can go against such a smart investor as Warren Buffett and still profit. So there are many ways to skin the mongoose. There are many ways to success, and you can go in a completely opposite direction of very successful people and still be successful if your reason and logic is sound, if you're trusting in what you are doing, if you're trusting in your own brain and your own intuition. And that is my great story for all of you. Stay tuned for more, and I wish you as much financial success and overall life success as possible. Rock on, take care, and stay tuned for more.